Northern California offers some of the most breathtaking landscapes and exciting activities in the US, and if you are in San Francisco and want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city, then you are spoiled for choice.
We will take you to small towns, stunning coastlines, vineyards, redwood trees, historic sites, and more. Come join us for our top 10 must-do day trips from San Francisco.
Hello, this is Ryan.
And this is Manuel.
And today we're going to take you to our top 10 favourite places that are only a few hours drive away from San Francisco and sometimes only a few minutes.
For most of these locations, you're going to need a car, and for all of them, you're going to be able to return on the same day unless you wanted to extend your stay.
And if you need some recommendations on what to do in San Francisco itself, make sure to check out our video on our top 10 favourite places to visit in San Francisco. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Coming in at number 10 is Mill Valley.
Mill Valley is only a 30-minute drive from San Francisco's Fisherman's Wharf, and we love it because of its unique blend of outdoor adventure and small-town charm. And what's more charming than a town surrounded by redwood trees? They are everywhere, and they're beautiful.
The heart of Mill Valley is Lytton Square, which is located right in the middle of town and should not be missed. It's the perfect place to take a break, have a coffee, and people watch. There are plenty of shops, antique stores, art galleries, and restaurants.
And you can also sit in one of the town's famous gravity cars that from 1902 to 1929 used to carry up to 30 passengers from the top of Mount Tamalpais to Mill Valley, with a brakeman who controlled the speed of descent, which we found fascinating.
We recommend having lunch at the Depot Cafe and Bookstore, where for an affordable price you can have a delicious meal whilst watching the world go by. We were also recommended Equator Coffee, which is just across the road.
Another spot to visit here is the Mill Valley Lumberyard, a century-old space reimagined as a charming retail and dining destination. The history of the yard goes hand in hand with Mill Valley's past as an epicenter for the lumber industries in the early 19th century, and is absolutely worth your time, especially if you want to check out some local businesses.
Also to explore in Mill Valley, especially if you love books, is the Mill Valley Public Library. The library provides a dreamy backdrop for a quiet afternoon due to its beautiful architecture that really makes you feel like you're in the middle of a redwood grove. As an avid reader, I'd spend so much time here if I was a resident.
And if I was a resident, I would definitely attend the Mill Valley Film Festival, which is hosted every year in town. Be sure to check the dates if this is something that interests you.
Also, Mill Valley is the getaway town for one of our next recommendations and, spoiler alert, one of our favourites.
Number 9 on our list is Sausalito.
Also on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge and only a 10-minute drive from Mill Valley, Sausalito is a super charming place famous for its beautiful promenade and floating homes.
Because of its Mediterranean-like vibe, tree-lined streets, colourful houses, and a thriving art scene, Sausalito is the perfect place to enjoy a relaxing day.
Our favourite thing to do here is to walk along the Bridgeway Promenade whilst enjoying stunning views of San Francisco and the Bay Area. The promenade is lined with plenty of shops, boutiques, and restaurants.
And what's a walk on the promenade without a delicious ice cream? We stopped at La Pert's Ice Cream, which is known for its rich and creamy ice cream and beautiful waterfront location. They had so many flavors, and we really wish that we could have tried them all.
But what Sausalito is most famous for are the over 400 homes spread over 5 different marinas. They are brightly coloured and bohemian style, and some of them date back to the 50s when Sausalito started to become a hub for artists. It was so much fun to just walk along the piers and soak up the atmosphere. Of course, be mindful that these are private properties.
Number 8 on our list is actually a tie.
It's 2 places that have a connection with one of San Francisco's most famous entrepreneurs, Steve Jobs.
Yes, they are Pixar Animation Studios and Apple Park.
They are iconic locations, so of course they had to make our top 10, But keep in mind that unless you know someone who actually works there, the amount of exploring that you can do is very limited, so we recommend connecting them to other places on our list.
Pixar Animation Studios is located in Emeryville, just under a 30-minute drive from San Francisco. It was very thrilling to approach the studios and see the legendary Pixar entry gate. Pixar started in 1979 as part of Lucasfilm and was later funded by Steve Jobs, and in 2006 became a part of the Walt Disney Company. The studio is responsible for creating some of cinema's most loved animated films, like Toy Story, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Coco, and Inside Out, to name a few.
Walking only a few seconds to the left of the entry gate, you're able to catch a glimpse of some of the building's most famous features, including the giant Laxo lamp and ball just outside the main Steve Jobs building. These are the most recognizable landmarks of the whole campus and have been Pixar's mascots since they starred in the first animated short in 1986.
From here, we also were able to see the football pitch, which is part of an array of sports facilities that the studio provides for its employees, and we also loved to catch a glimpse of one of Finding Nemo's seagulls, which was perched on top of the Brooklyn building.
If you want to make this more of a full-day trip, you could pair it with a visit to the university town of Berkeley, which we unfortunately did not have time to explore, but we will for sure in the future.
Also joined at number 8 is Apple Park, the famous headquarters of Apple. Apple Park is in Silicon Valley's Cupertino and only a 45 minutes drive from San Francisco.
The approach to the park feels like you are in a nature refuge, which was Steve Jobs' intention. From the road, you can catch glimpses of the huge circular design by Norman Foster that has been nicknamed the spaceship.
But if you want an even better view of it, Apple has built a stunning visitor center located just opposite, with plenty of parking and surrounded by a beautiful olive grove. On the roof terrace of the visitor center, there's a viewing platform where you can get a better idea of the scale of the headquarters, and is totally worth your time.
The Visitor Center is a beautiful building itself, with a classic Apple look. As you enter the building, visitors are greeted with a large-scale model of Apple Park, finished by the same machines that create the signature Apple products.
There is, of course, also a shop where you can buy anything Apple, including some exclusive merchandise, and a cafe, where you can enjoy the beautiful Californian landscape that surrounds Apple Park, and it has tables both on the inside and the outside. Number 7 is the John Muir National Historic Site.
The John Muir National Historic Site is under a 45-minute drive from San Francisco, in the town of Martinez, and was the home of John Muir, one of America's most influential conservationists.
We've always been fascinated by his life and legacy, from his incredible adventures that sparked people's interests in the natural world to his historic camping trip in Yosemite with President Theodore Roosevelt, which led to the protection of Yosemite Valley and is at the base of the creation of the National Park Service.
At your arrival to the site, you are greeted by a beautiful visitor center, which is your getaway to the Strenzel Muir home, a beautifully preserved Victorian house surrounded by orchards where Muir lived with his family for the last 24 years of his life.
You can visit inside the home, which has 17 rooms and also includes Muir's study with his original desk, where he wrote many of the ideas at the base of the modern conservation movement.
You can even explore the landscape with a hike up Mount Wanda, named for his eldest daughter, or make a stop at his gravesite, which is only open a few hours a day.
We linked our visit to the John Muir National Historic Site with an incredible week in Yosemite, which really informed our experience there.
We definitely recommend this stop, but because it's right next to the highway, we couldn't stop wondering how John Muir, who battled so much for the protection of the natural environment, would feel about it today.
Coming in at number 6 is Bodega Bay.
Nestled along the Sonoma County coastline and just over 1 hour from San Francisco, Bodega Bay is a quaint fishing town renowned for its breathtaking landscapes and rich marine life. The drive from San Francisco is stunning, and you'll go past green valleys, idyllic farms, and a truly beautiful coastline.
A few minutes before reaching Bodega Bay, we recommend stopping in the charming town of Bodega. If you are familiar with Alfred Hitchcock's 1963 movie The Birds, then you'll probably recognize the old Potter School that was the location for one of the most famous scenes from the film, where Tippi Hedren sees hundreds of birds perched outside before they attack the terrified students. Also, right behind, you can't miss the St. Teresa of Avila Church, a truly stunning structure built over 150 years ago by shipbuilders. The Catholic church, briefly visible in the film, was made famous when it was photographed by Ansel Adams.
The first thing we recommend when visiting Bodega Bay is to stop at the small yet charming visitor center with a super friendly staff and several tributes to the movie that helped put Bodega Bay on the map.
We love food, and after a lot of research, we decided to go to the Spud Point Crab Company, and wow, it was incredible.
This is a family-run business that has been around for over 20 years and is renowned for serving the best clam chowder on the Sonoma coast. We can confirm that it's one of the best clam chowders that we have ever had.
Also, we absolutely loved the crab sandwiches. The fish was so fresh, and you can tell it comes straight from the boats.
Just opposite, you can have a lovely walk along the dock and explore the area rich in fishing history.
A few minutes up the road, we recommend the Tides Wharf and Restaurant, which is also another location you may recognize from Hitchcock's film, even if the building was completely rebuilt in the 90s.
Outside, you can enjoy beautiful views of the pier and lots of wildlife. Inside, you can visit the gift shop, the deli, the restaurant, the fish market, and of course, an homage to the movie.
But for us, the highlight of a perfect Bodega Bay visit is Bodega Head, which shelters the bay and the harbor from the power of the Pacific Ocean.
From here, you can access miles of hiking, but you just need to get out of your car in the parking lot to be in awe of the rocky and dramatic coastline. Even the view from here is worth the trip. We could have easily spent the whole day there. We have heard you can see plenty of wildlife from here, from migrating whales to seals, so we armed ourselves with binoculars and patience, but fittingly, all we managed to see were birds.
There is plenty to do in Bodega Bay, but if you want to extend this trip, why don't you link it to a visit to the beautiful Point Reyes National Seashore, or even to a wine tasting in Sonoma County? We promise it's worth it.
Our fifth favorite day trip from San Francisco is Carmel-by-the-Sea.
Carmel-by-the-Sea is around 2 hours away, and even if we were here for only a day, we fell in love with this quaint town and found ourselves wanting to stay longer.
With whimsical storybook architecture, hidden passageways, and tucked-away courtyards, there is much to be explored in this charming village by the sea.
We recommend starting your day at the Carmel Bakery, which is California's oldest bakery, still in its original location, having been opened for over 120 years. It's actually the oldest building still standing in the village.
After enjoying one of their delicious pastries, why not explore the town's main boulevard, Ocean Avenue? Here, you can discover unique boutiques, local art galleries, restaurants, coffee shops, and adorable inns and hotels. The vibe here is very laid back, and though Carmel-by-the-Sea is only 1 square mile in size, the possibilities in the village feel endless. There are even a couple of Michelin-starred restaurants.
And make sure you don't miss the white sands of Carmel Beach, surrounded by beautiful Monterey cypress trees. This is a prime spot for walking, relaxing, and surfing. Plus, it's one of the most dog-friendly beaches in the area.
After a day in Carmel-by-the-Sea, you can understand why more than a century ago, poets, artists, and writers, including Salvador Dali and Jack London, called this place home. With those cottage-lined cobblestone streets and the stunning coastline, we definitely dream to retire here one day.
And if you have more time, you can even link this day trip with the next 2 day trips in our list.
Coming in at number 4 is Monterey.
Monterey is Carmel-by-the-Sea's neighbor and is also approximately a 2-hour drive from San Francisco. But while Carmel is quaint and quiet, Monterey feels busy and active with many important historic sites, a lovely working harbor, and plenty of historic areas.
The first thing to do in Monterey is to visit Cannery Row, a waterfront street that has become the hub of the town. Cannery Row is known for formerly being the home of many sardine canneries, the first opened in 1908 and the last closed in 1973. The street has several shops and restaurants, and we also really love that it has a very easy access to several beaches from which you can spot wildlife such as seals, whales and otters.
Cannery Row was once Ocean View Avenue, but was officially renamed in 1958 to honor author John Steinbeck and his novel Cannery Row. Steinbeck described the street as a poem, a stink, a grating noise, a quality of light, a tone, a habit, a nostalgia, a dream. And even if today Cannery Row feels very touristic and its buildings are updated into shinier versions of the old canneries, this description somehow still makes sense.
Just off Cannery Row, make sure you visit Steinbeck Plaza, where you can see a huge bronze monument that honors Steinbeck's novel, which features larger-than-life figures, including Steinbeck himself, perched on the top, 4 card players who play tribute to the lovable gang from the novel, Steinbeck's friend, the marine biologist Ed Ricketts, and other characters that capture the essence of Cannery Row during those years. Also, don't forget to look for the bust of the man himself at the entrance to the square.
Less than a mile away, we recommend visiting the Old Fisherman's Wharf area, which feels both touristic and historic. You can have a nice walk along the wharf, looking at the boats and at the sea lions, or you can enjoy a stroll on the pier, where you can find several businesses from handmade candies and keepsakes to incredible restaurants like the Old Fisherman's Grotto that we absolutely loved. Its cozy atmosphere and nautical style make you feel like you're inside a boat on a stormy night, and the food is amazing.
On the pier, you can also catch a glimpse of Monterey's fishing history, and we loved to learn about all the individuals from many different backgrounds that helped shape Monterey into what it is today.
A few minutes away, you can visit the Monterey State Historic Park and take a walk along the 2-mile Path of History, where you can learn about Monterey's rich heritage and stroll among centuries-old adobe buildings in what was the second permanent settlement established by the Spanish Empire in California.
And if you have more time, why not explore the Monterey Aquarium, one of the best in the world, or join a whale watching cruise. You can even make this into an overnight trip, driving along the 17-mile drive tracing the rugged Pacific coastline until you reach Carmel-by-the-Sea, and then you can continue on to the Point Lobos State Natural Reserve that has plenty of trails, including the famous Cypress Grove Trail.
Or you can even link this to our next recommendation if you have that extra day. Number 3 on our list is Big Sur.
Big Sur is for many people the highlight of their trip, and we were so lucky to explore it a few years back and have been obsessed with it ever since. However, when we returned a few months ago, we made a huge mistake, which was not checking road conditions, which meant we could only explore a few stops this time.
Fierce storms have in recent years battered the Santa Lucia Mountains, causing landslides which has broken the road in many places, so road closures are a daily occurrence. So if you want to go, make sure that you check this. We are over planners and we cannot believe that we made this mistake.
Yeah. But even if we don't have enough clips to share from our most recent trip, this is definitely not a reason not to put Big Sur into our list, as going from San Francisco to Big Sur is such an iconic activity. Let us know in the comments if you made the same mistake.
The drive starts in Carmel-by-the-Sea and ends in St. Simeon, but you can do as many stops as you want and tailor your visit to your liking. Big Sur is majestic and untamed, and it offers unforgettable viewpoints, awe-inspiring vistas on the Pacific Ocean, long beaches, incredible restaurants, and secret caves.
Some of the highlights are the Elephant Seals Overlook, where you can see hundreds of elephant seals along the shore, Rugged Point, which offers amazing coastline views and restaurants, Meckway Falls at the Julia Pfeiffer Burns State Park, which has one of the most memorable views in Big Sur, the Nepenthe Restaurant that offers unique views and great food, and the Bixby Bridge that has become the symbol of Big Sur itself.
We also recommend spending a night there if you want to take things more slowly and trying to hit as many stops as you can. We'll do another video on Big Sur when we return, and this time we'll check road conditions.
Coming in at number 2 is Napa Valley.
Napa Valley is only over an hour's drive from San Francisco and is one of the world's premier wine destinations and has over 400 wineries and tasting rooms.
Yes, this day trip wasn't even supposed to be in our list, but all it took for us to fall in love with it was the drive. We were like driving past all these rows of vines, and it was like they were calling our names. So we immediately changed our plan and decided to spend the day there. Because this day trip was for us a last-minute decision, the most popular wineries like the Amorosa Castle or the Beringer Vineyards were fully booked or had long waits.
So we settled for the lovely Mum, one of California's top sparkling wine producer and one of the most popular destinations for Napa Valley visitors. It has been there for over 25 years and has a beautiful terrace with spectacular Napa Valley views, and we love the property and its chilled and relaxed vibe.
We also made a stop to the famous Welcome to Napa Valley sign, which went up in 1949 with the purpose of bringing awareness to the valley when only a few wineries were open, and has now become a landmark and a must-see. Bear in mind that there are two signs, one north and one south.
We are not huge drinkers, so for us this experience was perfect as it gave us the perfect break from the hustle and bustle of San Francisco. But of course we recommend making reservations to the wineries you want to visit if you were here to make this into a day trip.
And if you decided to spend a longer weekend tasting all the delicious Northern California wines, why not also explore the more affordable and laid-back Sonoma Valley? We know we will.
And now, our favorite day trip from San Francisco. Number 1 on our list is
Muir Woods National Monument.
Muir Woods National Monument is just over a 30-minute drive from San Francisco, and it preserves one of the last remaining ancient redwood forests in California.
Some of the redwoods are nearly 1,000 years old and reach heights of more than 250 feet. When it was established in 1908, over 80% of California's coastal redwoods were still alive. But today, after years and years of logging, only 5% of those trees remain.
Muir Woods provides a time capsule to the past, an image of what it used to be. And even if it's incredibly sad that not many redwoods remain, it's reassuring to know that Muir Woods and its more than 380 species are protected.
Muir Woods National Monument is managed by the National Park Service, and to visit it, you must make a parking reservation in advance on the official website. At the time of our visit, it was under $10 per car. We went there in the morning on a summer's day, and it wasn't too busy, but we know that parking slots can sell out in peak times. Also, there is no cell phone service, so it might be impossible to make a reservation from there. In case you can't get a parking reservation, they operate a shuttle bus on selected days.
There is a $15 fee per person to enter the woods, unless you have an annual pass or, like us, an America the Beautiful pass that costs $80 and allows you and 3 other adults to visit any national park sites you want for a year.
As soon as you enter Muir Woods, there is a visitor center, a shop, and also a cafe where you can enjoy a cup of coffee under the redwoods.
There are dozens of miles of hiking, and you are always walking among old-growth coast redwoods and the fresh water of Redwood Creek.
We recommend starting at the visitor center and going all the way to the end to then take the hillside trail back. You are on an elevated boardwalk pretty much the entire time until you return via the hillside trail, where the boardwalk ends and you start to gain some elevation. But it's overall pretty flat and not too challenging.
If you do this trail, it's about a 2-mile round trip, which takes about 1 hour and a half. However, the great thing about this trail is that it can be as long or as short as you like, as there are multiple bridges that allow you to cross over the creek and make the trail into a loop. Many people decide to turn around before reaching the end, but if you can, we recommend getting to the end, as the further into the grove you go, the more peaceful it becomes, and you can really appreciate the solitude and the calming sounds of nature.
For us, the highlight is Cathedral Grove, where you will find the tallest and oldest trees, but everywhere you look is majestic. For both of us, this is hands down the best day trip you can take from San Francisco, as there is nothing like being in the presence of these giants.
And if you wanted to explore more of the area, why not return to San Francisco via Mill Valley, which is literally outside of Muir Woods, and Sausalito, which is only 10 minutes away. It would make for an unforgettable day.
So that's it for our top favorite day trips from San Francisco.
If there's anything that we missed, please leave us a comment down below and tell us about your favorite day trips from San Francisco.
And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And also don't forget to follow us on our social media for more adventures and tips.
We are always exploring, and we cannot wait to take you along with us.
Yes, and now, see you down the road.